The galaxy was a very big place. Thousands of worlds, millions of species, billions of voices. Yet, inside one large space station, everything was quiet. Too quiet. The station was called Council Station 9. It floated in deep space, far from any star. It was the place where the most powerful species met to talk, argue, and make decisions about the future of the galaxy. Today, they were here to talk about humans. Humans were new to the galaxy. They were not the strongest. They were not the fastest. They were not the smartest. But they were strange. Very strange. They were friendly. They smiled a lot. They helped others without asking for anything back. Some species liked them. Some did not trust them. But no one truly feared them. Not yet. Inside the main council hall, hundreds of leaders sat on floating chairs, crystal platforms, and energy seats. Each species looked different. Some had long arms. Some had glowing skin. Some did not even have faces. At the center of the hall stood a long table. On one side sat the alien leaders. On the other side sat 3 humans. The humans wore simple dark uniforms. No shiny armor. No heavy weapons. No symbols of power. They looked calm. Too calm. One of the humans was a tall woman with short hair and tired eyes. Her name was Commander Elena Cross. She had spoken many times before this council. Always polite. Always patient. Next to her sat Dr. Aaron Hale, a scientist with glasses and a quiet voice. He usually tried to explain human behavior in kind words. The third was Captain Marcus Reed, a military officer. He rarely spoke. When he did, he chose his words carefully. The meeting had already been going on for hours. Alien leaders complained. They accused humans of entering forbidden space zones. They accused humans of helping rebel planets. They accused humans of breaking old galactic rules. Elena listened quietly. She did not interrupt. She did not argue. She did not raise her voice. She waited. An alien leader stood up. His species was tall, thin, and covered in blue scales. His eyes glowed red as he spoke. "Humans," he said loudly, "you were given a chance. A place in our galaxy. But you have caused disorder. You interfere where you are not invited. You change things." Elena looked at him calmly. "We help where we are needed," she said. "We protect the weak. We stop suffering." Another leader spoke. This one looked like a floating cloud of light. "That is not your role," the being said. "You are not guardians. You are not judges." Dr. Hale leaned forward. "We do not see ourselves as judges," he said softly. "We only try to do what feels right." A low growl came from another side of the room. "What feels right to humans is not what feels right to the galaxy," said a large reptilian leader. "You act without permission. You break balance." The room filled with noise. Voices overlapped. Some shouted. Some hissed. Some clicked. Some used strange sounds that machines translated into words. Elena stayed quiet. She folded her hands on the table. She looked at each speaker. She listened. Finally, the high speaker of the council raised his staff. A wave of energy passed through the room, and silence returned. The high speaker was very old. No one remembered how long his species lived. His body was weak, but his mind was sharp. "Humans," he said, "this council must decide your future in the galaxy. Your actions have created tension. Some demand punishment. Some demand restriction." Elena nodded slowly. "We understand." Captain Reed finally spoke. "We are here to listen." The high speaker studied them. "That is good, because now we will speak." One by one, leaders explained their complaints. A trade empire accused humans of protecting small planets that refused to pay taxes. A military alliance accused humans of stopping their fleet during a planetary invasion. A corporate union accused humans of destroying their mining operations on a living world. Each time, Elena responded calmly. "We saved civilians. We stopped mass death. We protected a living planet." But the council did not care about those reasons. They cared about order. They cared about control. They cared about power. Hours passed. The humans remained patient. But something was changing. It was not in their words. It was not in their faces. It was in the air. The temperature in the room felt colder. The lights seemed dimmer. The translators started glitching for a moment, then fixed themselves. Some alien leaders felt uneasy. One of them, a small insect-like being, leaned toward another and whispered, "Do you feel that?" "Yes," the other replied. "Something is wrong." The high speaker continued, "Humans, you must accept restrictions. You must stop interfering in conflicts that do not concern you. You must follow galactic authority." Elena closed her eyes for a brief moment. Then she opened them. "High speaker," she said calmly, "we have followed your rules. We have respected your borders. We have asked permission. We have tried to work within your system."
She paused.
But when innocent lives were in danger, we could not stay silent. The reptilian leader slammed his claw on his platform. "That is not your decision to make." Elena looked at him. Her voice remained calm, but her tone changed. Just a little. "We did not make the decision lightly," she said. "We made it because it was right." The room grew tense. Dr. Hale shifted in his seat. Captain Reed's eyes narrowed slightly. The high speaker raised a staff again. "Humans, your moral views are not the law of the galaxy." Elena nodded. "We know." "Then you must accept the consequences." The high speaker turned to the council. "All who support the restriction of human movement and intervention, signal now." Lights began to glow around the room. One by one, platforms lit up.
Blue, red, green.
So many colors. So many votes. Elena watched quietly. More lights appeared.
And more.
And more. Dr. Hale swallowed. Captain Reed clenched his jaw. The high speaker looked at the result. The majority has decided. Humans will be restricted. Their fleets will be limited. Their access to certain regions will be denied. A murmur spread through the hall. Some leaders looked satisfied. Some looked relieved. Some looked worried. Elena did not react. She did not argue. She did not shout. She did not threaten. She simply nodded. "We understand," she said. The high speaker studied her face. "Do you accept this decision?" "Yes," Elena replied.
A pause.
The council waited for anger. They waited for protest. They waited for resistance. But none came. Instead, Elena slowly stood up. She looked at Dr. Hale, then at Captain Reed. Then she looked back at the council. "Before we leave," she said, "there is something I must say." The high speaker lifted a brow ridge. "Speak." Elena took a breath. For a moment, she looked tired. Not angry, not sad, just tired. "We came to this galaxy in peace," she said. "We did not seek power. We did not seek control. We only wanted to belong." She looked around the room. "We tried to talk. We tried to cooperate. We tried to help." Her voice was still calm, but the room felt heavier. "We asked for fairness. We asked for understanding. We asked for time."
She paused again.
"But we were ignored." Some leaders shifted uncomfortably. Elena continued, "You call our actions disorder.
We call them mercy.
You call them interference. We call them responsibility." The reptilian leader snorted. "You are not responsible for the galaxy." Elena turned to him. Her eyes were steady.
"No," she said.
"But we are responsible for what we see." The high speaker leaned forward. "Your words are noted, but the decision stands." Elena nodded. "We know." She took another breath. And then, her voice changed. Not louder. Not sharper. Not emotional. Just different. "Now," she said slowly, "I am actually getting annoyed." The words were simple. The tone was soft. But something happened. The lights in the hall flickered. The energy field around the table pulsed once, like a heartbeat. Several alien leaders felt a sudden chill. The insect-like being whispered, "Did she just say?" Another leader's eyes widened. Those words. Captain Reed did not move. Dr. Hale did not move. But both of them felt it.
A shift.
Not in the room. In the universe. Elena looked at the high speaker. "We do not threaten. We do not boast. We do not seek war. She placed her hands on the table. But when humans say those words, it means something has gone very wrong. The High Speaker frowned. Are you threatening the council? Elena shook her head.
No.
I am stating a fact. The room grew quiet. No one spoke. No one moved. The council had faced many threats before. Many wars. Many empires. But this felt different. This was not rage. This was not hatred. This was not fear. This was certainty. The reptilian leader laughed nervously. What can humans do? You are few. Your fleets are small. Your weapons are average. Elena looked at him.
True, she said. Then she added, we are not strong. We are not fast.
We are not the biggest.
She paused.
But we are persistent. The word echoed in the hall. Persistent. Dr. Hale finally spoke. Humans do not fight often, he said softly. But when they do not stop until the problem is solved. The cloud-like leader floated backward slightly. Are you saying you will attack? Elena shook her head again.
No.
We will respond. The High Speaker tightened his grip on his staff. Your response will be considered an act of war. Elena nodded. We know. She turned to leave. But before she took a step, she looked back one last time. High Speaker, she said, we will respect your decision. Some leaders relaxed slightly. But, she added, we will not abandon innocent lives. The room grew tense again. Captain Reed stood up. Dr. Hale followed. The three humans began to walk toward the exit. As they walked, something strange happened. Several alien leaders started to whisper. Not angrily. Not loudly. Fearfully. I have heard those words before. One said. From who? Another asked. From an old record, the first replied. From a war long ago. But humans were not part of that war, the second said. No, the first whispered. But the ones who said those words were. The insect-like being turned pale. What happened? They won, the first replied. Not by destroying everything, but by ending the war completely. The reptilian leader scoffed. Stories. Myths. The first alien shook its head.
No.
History. As the humans reached the door, the High Speaker called out, Commander Cross. Elena stopped. She turned slowly. Do you truly believe your species can stand against the galaxy? Elena thought for a moment. Then she answered honestly.
No.
Some leaders smiled. But, she continued, we believe the galaxy cannot stand against a united humanity. Silence. The door opened. The humans walked out. The door closed behind them. The council hall remained silent. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then the insect-like being whispered, Why do I feel like we just made a terrible mistake? The cloud-like leader replied, Because we did. The reptilian leader growled, They are weak. The High Speaker did not respond immediately. He stared at the closed door. Then he said quietly, Weak species do not change the air in a room by speaking one sentence. A wave of unease spread through the council. Some leaders began checking their systems. Some felt a strange pressure in their minds. Some remembered old stories. Stories about a species that did not rage. A species that did not threaten. A species that did not conquer. A species that simply endured. And then one system alarm sounded. A small alarm. Not a war alarm. Not a defense alarm. A communication alert. The High Speaker turned to his console. What is it? An aide replied, Sir, multiple human allies have just gone silent. Silent, the High Speaker asked. Yes, the aide said. Their networks are closed. Their signals are encrypted. Their fleets are mobilizing. The reptilian leader laughed. So what? Let them move. Another alarm sounded. Then another. Then another. The aide's voice shook. Sir, human systems across multiple regions are activating emergency protocols. Military, the High Speaker asked. No, the aide replied. Civil, industrial, medical, logistics, everything. The room grew colder. The High Speaker slowly stood up. What does that mean? He asked. The aide swallowed. It means humans are not preparing for war. Then what are they preparing for? The cloud-like leader asked. The aide looked at the data. Then he looked up. They are preparing for a long response. The council fell silent. Far away, in human space, ships were moving. Not to attack. Not to invade. But to position. Supply routes were changing. Allies were being contacted. Hidden systems were activating. And in a quiet room on Earth, Elena Cross stood in front of a large screen. Captain Reed stood beside her. Dr. Hales stood behind her. Elena looked at the screen, showing the galaxy map. This is the turning point, Captain Reed said. Elena nodded. They chose control over compassion, she said. Dr. Hales sighed. Do you think they understand what they did? Elena shook her head slowly. No, she said. Not yet. She looked at the stars. But they will. And somewhere, far beyond human space, alien leaders sat in silence, feeling something they had not felt in a long time. Not fear of attack. Not fear of death. But fear of consequence. Because when humans finally say, backhand index pointing right, now I'm actually getting annoyed. It does not mean anger. It means the beginning of change. The galaxy did not explode. There were no firestorms. No planets burned. No fleets crashed into each other. Instead, everything became quiet. Too quiet. Across human space, something strange was happening. Trade ships stopped sending casual messages. Research stations closed public channels. Civilian transports changed routes. It was not chaos. It was order. Perfect, silent order. On Council Station 9, the alien leaders watched their screens with growing concern. The high speaker stood at the center of the hall. His eyes moved from one display to another. Report, he said. An aide spoke quickly. Human communications are now encrypted at levels we cannot break. Military movement? Asked the reptilian leader. The aide shook its head. Minimal. No large fleets heading toward our borders. Then why are we concerned? The reptilian leader asked. They are retreating. The high speaker did not agree. This is not retreat, he said. This is preparation. The insect-like leader fluttered nervously. Preparation for what? No one answered. Because no one knew. Meanwhile, far away, on a small neutral world called Port Helios, a merchant ship was landing. The ship belonged to a species called the Varanii, tall, thin beings with long fingers and golden eyes. They had traded with humans many times. The ship's captain, Trell, stepped onto the landing platform. He expected to see human dock workers as usual, but the platform was empty. No voices. No machines. No movement. Only a single human standing near the control tower. It was a woman in a simple gray uniform. Trell approached carefully. Human, he said through the translator. Where is everyone? The woman looked at him calmly. They are busy. Busy with what? Trell asked. The woman did not answer directly. You should return to your ship. Trell felt uneasy. Why? Because, the woman said, things are about to change. Trell opened his mouth to ask more questions, but the woman had already turned away. He returned to his ship, confused and uncomfortable. Across another system, a group of pirates attempted to raid a human mining station. They expected easy targets. Humans were known to avoid violence. But when the pirates arrived, they found the station empty. No guards. No workers. No resistance. But as they docked, every system on their ship shut down. Life support dropped to minimum. Weapons powered off. Engines went silent. A calm human voice came through their speakers. This is a safety protocol, the voice said. Please remain calm. You are not in danger. The pirate leader shouted. Who did this? The voice replied. We did. What do you want? The pirate demanded. We want you to leave, the voice said. And we want you to think about your choices. How can we leave without power? The pirate yelled. Power will return, the voice replied, once you agree to leave human space and never return. The pirates had no choice. They agreed. Their system slowly came back online. They fled. And they told others. Stories began to spread. Not of attacks, not of destruction, but of removal. Human systems were not fighting. They were taking away options. On a distant water world, a war was raging between two alien empires. Humans had once tried to stop the war, to protect civilians. The council had told them to stay out. This time, humans stayed out.
Completely.
Human aid ships disappeared. Human doctors left. Human food supplies stopped. At first, the warring empires felt relief. Good, one leader said. The humans are gone. But within days, problems began. Medical systems failed. Food shortages grew. Refugee routes collapsed. The empires realized something terrifying. They had become dependent on human help. And now, that help was gone. On Council Station 9, the High Speaker received more reports. Human trade routes have shifted, an aide said. They are no longer supplying several key regions. Which regions? The High Speaker asked. Regions involved in active conflict, the aide replied. The reptilian leader frowned. So, they are punishing us economically. The High Speaker shook his head.
No.
Then what? The cloud-like leader asked. They are teaching, the High Speaker said. The insect-like leader trembled. Teaching what? The High Speaker did not answer, because he was starting to understand. Humans were not attacking. They were not threatening. They were not demanding.
They were simply stepping back
and letting others feel the weight of their own actions. Meanwhile, on Earth, Elena Cross sat in a quiet command room. Large screens showed dozens of systems. Green, yellow, and red indicators moved slowly. Captain Reed stood nearby, arms crossed. Dr. Hale was reading data from a tablet. Our withdrawal is working, Dr. Hale said. Regions that relied on us are already feeling pressure. Captain Reed nodded. No blood. No explosions. But maximum impact. Elena did not look satisfied. She looked focused. This is not punishment, she said. This is protection. Protection of whom? Captain Reed asked. Of innocent lives, Elena replied. And of our own people. Dr. Hale looked up. Some will accuse us of manipulation. Elena nodded. They already do. Does it matter? Captain Reed asked. Elena shook her head.
No.
What matters is that we stop being used. She looked at the galaxy map. We helped too much, she said. We fixed problems others refused to fix. We carried burdens others refused to carry. Dr. Hale sighed. We made it easy for them. Yes, Elena said. And now we stop. On Council Station 9, tensions rose. Some leaders were angry. Some were scared. Some were confused. A leader from a trade empire slammed his fist on his platform. This is sabotage. Humans are destroying our economy. Another leader shouted. They are breaking the balance. The High Speaker raised his staff for silence. They are not breaking anything, he said. They are removing themselves. That is worse, the trade leader shouted. We need them. The High Speaker looked at him sharply. And that is exactly the problem. The room fell quiet. The High Speaker continued. We told humans to stop interfering. They have done exactly that. But people are suffering, another leader cried. Yes, the High Speaker said. And now you must decide if that suffering matters to you. The cloud-like leader floated closer. We never asked them to leave completely. The High Speaker nodded.
No.
You asked them to follow your rules. And they are. Silence. The insect-like leader whispered. This feels worse than war. The High Speaker agreed. Because war is loud. This is quiet. Another aide rushed in. High Speaker, new report.
Speak, he said.
Human allies across the galaxy are forming closed networks. They are sharing resources among themselves, but not with others. So they are isolating, the reptilian leader said. Yes, the aide replied. But not from each other. Only from us. The High Speaker closed his eyes briefly. They are building a wall, he said. Not of weapons. Of trust. The Council did not know how to respond. They had faced weapons before. They had faced fleets before. They had faced empires before, but they had never faced absence. On a small medical world, a hospital once run by humans was now empty. Alien doctors struggled to operate unfamiliar human machines. A child lay on a bed, breathing weakly. A doctor shouted, "Where are the humans? We need their knowledge." A nurse replied, "They left." "Why?" the doctor asked. "They said they were no longer allowed to interfere." The doctor clenched his fists. This is madness.
No.
This was consequence. Across the galaxy, similar scenes unfolded. Human teachers left schools. Human engineers left power stations. Human peacekeepers left border zones. Not suddenly. Not violently.
Slowly. Calmly. Cleanly.
And everywhere they left, something failed, not because humans broke it, but because humans had been holding it together. On Council Station 9, panic grew. The trade leader shouted, "We must force them to return." The reptilian leader growled, "Yes, use military pressure." The High Speaker raised his staff.
No.
"Why not?" the reptilian leader demanded. "They are weak." The High Speaker looked at him coldly. "You think weakness looks like this?" He gestured to the screens. "This is not weakness," he said. "This is discipline." The insect-like leader whispered, "They are not reacting emotionally." "No," the High Speaker said. "They are reacting logically." Another leader spoke softly. "Then how do we stop this?" The High Speaker answered honestly. "You do not stop it." "Then what do we do?" the leader asked. The High Speaker paused. "Listen," he said. Back on Earth, Elena Cross received a message. It was from a human ally species, the Aurelian Union, a peaceful civilization that had worked closely with humans. Their leader said, "We stand with you." Elena replied, "Thank you." Another message came from a human colony near the outer rim. They asked, "Are we safe?" Elena replied, "Yes." A third message came from a medical ship. They said, "Patients in non-human regions are suffering." Elena closed her eyes. Then she said, "Send help where we can. But do not violate council restrictions." Captain Reed frowned. "That will limit us." Elena nodded.
Yes.
"That is the point." Dr. Hale asked, "Is this really the only way?" Elena thought for a moment. "No," she said. "But it is the only way that does not involve violence." On Council Station 9, the High Speaker finally made a decision. He stood tall and spoke. "Send a message to the humans." The aides hesitated. "What kind of message?" The High Speaker said, "A request." "A demand?" the reptilian leader asked. "No," the High Speaker replied. "A request." The room went silent. "You'll request their return?" the trade leader asked. "Yes," the High Speaker said. "On what terms?" the cloud-like leader asked. The High Speaker paused. "On their terms." Shock spread through the council. The reptilian leader growled, "That is surrender." The High Speaker shook his head. "No, that is survival." He continued, "We underestimated humans. Not their weapons. Not their fleets." "Then what?" the insect-like leader asked. "We underestimated their restraint," the High Speaker said. "And their patience." He looked at the closed door where Elena Cross had left. "When a species chooses not to fight," he said, "do not assume they cannot. When a species chooses not to rule," he said, "do not assume they are weak. And when a species finally says they are annoyed," he said softly, "do not assume it means anger." The aides sent the message. The council waited. Time passed. Minutes felt like hours. Finally, a reply came. The High Speaker read it. Then he closed his eyes. "What did they say?" the reptilian leader demanded. The High Speaker spoke slowly. "They said they will listen." Relief spread through the room. But the High Speaker continued. "They also said this." He paused. "They said, we will not return to the old way." Silence. "What does that mean?" the insect-like leader asked. The High Speaker answered. "It means the galaxy has changed," he said. "And humans will not be the same." Far away, on Earth, Elena Cross looked at the council's message. She read it quietly. Captain Reed asked, "What do they want?"
They want us back, Elena said. Are we going? Dr. Hale asked. Elena looked at the stars. Yes, she said, but not to beg, and not to obey. Then why? Captain Reed asked. To reset, Elena replied. To build something better. To make sure this never happens again. Dr. Hale smiled faintly. That sounds like humans. Elena nodded. It is. And across the galaxy, leaders who once felt powerful now felt uncertain. Not because humans were attacking, not because humans were angry, but because humans were calm. And calm humans were the most dangerous kind. The Council did not sleep. For many species, sleep was not needed. For others, it was impossible. The message from humans had changed everything. They would return, but not to obey, not to apologize, not to surrender. They said they would listen. That alone frightened the Council more than any threat, because humans did not listen when they were weak. They listened when they were ready. On Council Station 9, the main hall was prepared again. The long table was cleaned. The energy fields were reset. The lights were dimmed slightly, creating a calm but tense atmosphere. The high speakers stood at the center, waiting. This time, the alien leaders did not talk loudly. They whispered. They are coming, one said. What do they want? Another asked. Power, a third whispered. No, said the insect-like leader. Something worse. What could be worse than power? The trade leader asked. Respect, the insect-like leader replied. On their terms. The reptilian leader scoffed. Humans are still weak. The high speaker did not agree. He had studied the reports. He had watched the silent shift. He had seen how systems collapsed without human help. Weak species do not reshape the galaxy without firing a single shot. The doors opened. 3 humans walked in. Commander Elena Cross, Captain Marcus Reed, Dr. Aaron Hale. They wore the same simple uniforms. No weapons visible. No guards. No signs of fear. They walked calmly to their seats and sat down. Elena looked around the room. She saw tired faces, angry faces, worried faces. She did not smile. She did not frown. She simply waited. The high speaker cleared his throat. Humans, thank you for returning. Elena nodded. Thank you for inviting us. There was no warmth in her voice, but there was no coldness either. Just distance. The high speaker spoke carefully. The Council has observed recent changes. Trade disruptions, medical shortages, communication breakdowns. Dr. Hale replied calmly, We have observed the same. The reptilian leader leaned forward. You caused them. Captain Reed answered, No, we stopped preventing them. The reptilian leader growled. That is the same thing. Elena shook her head. No, it is not. The high speaker raised his staff for silence. Humans, he said, we wish to restore stability. Elena nodded. So do we. Then why withdraw? The trade leader asked. Why isolate? Elena answered simply. Because we were told to. The room fell silent. You told us to stop interfering, Elena continued. So we did. The cloud-like leader floated closer. We did not mean abandon. Elena looked at it. Abandonment is your word. We call it compliance. The insect-like leader whispered. This is punishment. Dr. Hale spoke gently. No. This is a boundary. The high speaker frowned. Boundaries create distance. Yes, Dr. Hale said. And distance creates clarity. The council did not like that. The reptilian leader slammed his claw on his platform. You are hurting innocent people. Elena nodded. Yes. The room gasped. You admit it? The reptilian leader demanded. Elena remained calm. We acknowledge it. Then stop, another leader shouted. Elena shook her head. We cannot. Why not? The trade leader demanded. Because, Elena said, we were hurting innocent people before too. Silence. The high speaker leaned forward. Explain. Elena took a breath. We were preventing you from feeling the cost of your own choices, she said.
We were holding systems together that were built on injustice. We were fixing problems that were created by neglect. She looked around the room. That was hurting innocent people too, she said. Just more slowly. The insect-like leader trembled. So, this is teaching? No, Elena replied. This is truth. The cloud-like leader asked softly, What do you want? Elena answered honestly. We want a new agreement. What kind? The high speaker asked. One where humans are not tools, Elena said. One where we are not emergency systems. One where we are not the only ones who care when someone is suffering. The reptilian leader laughed harshly. You expect the galaxy to change because you are tired? Elena looked at him. Her eyes were calm, but something in her gaze was heavy. No, she said. We expect the galaxy to change because the galaxy is broken. The words hung in the air. Broken, the high speaker spoke slowly. And you believe you can fix it? Elena shook her head. No. Then why do this? The high speaker asked. Because, Elena said, we refuse to support it. The council did not know how to respond. They had built empires on control. They had built systems on power. They had built peace on fear. And now a small, quiet species was telling them, No. Captain Reed spoke. We are not your police. We are not your doctors. We are not your supply chain. We are not your peacekeepers. Dr. Hale added, We helped because we cared, not because it was our job. The trade leader shouted, Then stop caring. Elena replied softly, We can't, but we can stop enabling. Silence. The high speaker closed his eyes briefly. You are forcing us into chaos, he said. Elena shook her head. No. We are forcing you into responsibility. The insect-like leader whispered. Responsibility is heavy. Yes, Elena said. It always is. The reptilian leader leaned back. So, what do you want in this new agreement? Elena thought for a moment. Then she said, We want shared responsibility. Explain, the high speaker said. Elena raised one finger. First, any conflict that involves civilians must include independent oversight. Not military. Not political. Human or otherwise. The trade leader scoffed. Who decides? Elena replied. Not you alone. And not us alone. Dr. Hale added. Shared systems. Shared rules. Shared consequences. Elena raised a second finger. Second, no species may use humans as silent support while taking public credit. The trade leader frowned. We never. Elena interrupted calmly. You did. The trade leader opened his mouth, then closed it. Elena raised a third finger. Third, no species may restrict humanitarian aid. The reptilian leader growled. That interferes with sovereignty. Elena replied. So does death. The room went quiet. The high speaker leaned forward. And, what do you offer in return? Elena answered without hesitation. We return. Fully, the cloud-like leader asked. Yes, Elena said, but differently. How? The high speaker asked. We stop being silent helpers, Elena said. We become open partners. Dr. Hale added, No more hidden support. No more quiet fixes. Everything visible. Everything accountable. Captain Reed said, And if those terms are rejected. Elena finished. We stay withdrawn. Silence. The council leaders looked at each other. They had expected demands for power. They had expected threats. They had expected ultimatums. Instead, they received conditions. Not to rule. Not to control. But to share. The insect-like leader whispered. This is dangerous. The high speaker nodded. Yes. Why? Another leader asked. Because, the high speaker said, it takes power away from those who hoard it. The reptilian leader snarled. We cannot accept this. Elena looked at him. Then we cannot return. The trade leader leaned forward. You would abandon billions? Elena answered softly. No. We would stop pretending we are the only ones responsible for them. The cloud-like leader floated closer. This feels like moral pressure. Elena nodded. It is. The high speaker sighed. You are forcing us to choose. Yes, Elena said. between control and care. The room fell silent. No one liked that choice. The High Speaker looked around the council. He saw fear. He saw anger. He saw pride. And he saw something else. Shame. Finally, he spoke. "We'll consider your proposal." Elena nodded. "Good. When will you give us an answer?" the trade leader asked. "When you are ready," Elena replied. The reptilian leader laughed bitterly. "You are in no position to wait." Elena looked at him. Her voice was calm. "We have already waited." Silence. The High Speaker said, "Until then, will you continue your withdrawal?" "Yes," Elena replied. "And the suffering?" the cloud-like leader asked. Elena's eyes softened. "We will help where we are allowed," she said. "And where we are not, we will remember." The High Speaker frowned. "Remember what?" Elena answered quietly, "Who chose control over compassion." The room felt heavier. The meeting ended without agreement. No handshakes, no threats, no smiles, just distance. As the humans stood to leave, the insect-like leader called out, "Commander Cross." Elena turned. "Do you truly believe the galaxy can change?" the leader asked. Elena thought for a moment. "Yes," she said, "because I believe people can." The door opened. The humans walked out. The door closed. The council sat in silence. The reptilian leader broke it. "They are bluffing." The High Speaker shook his head. "No." "How can you be sure?" the trade leader asked. "Because," the High Speaker said, "they walked away when they could have demanded. Because they did not threaten. Because they did not raise their voices. Because they did not ask for power." He paused. "And because they are willing to lose to protect their values." Silence. Elsewhere in the galaxy, human systems remained quiet. Not weak. Not broken. Just waiting. On Earth, Elena Cross stood alone in her office. Captain Reed entered. They didn't agree. Elena nodded. "I know." Dr. Hale entered. "Do you think they will?" Elena looked at the stars outside her window. "Yes," she said. "Why?" Captain Reed asked. "Because," Elena said, "they are already feeling the cost of not agreeing." She turned back to them. "And because," she added, "we are not going back to the old way." Dr. Hale smiled faintly. "Neither should we." Elena nodded. "We will not save a broken system," she said. "We will build a better one." Far away, on a distant world, a young alien watched a failing hospital and asked their parent, "Why did the humans leave?" The parent answered, "Because we told them not to care." The child asked, "Will they come back?" The parent thought, then said, "Only if we learn to care too." And across the galaxy, leaders who once believed humans were weak now faced a truth far more dangerous. Humans were not weak. They were patient. And now, they were done waiting. The galaxy did not break all at once. It broke slowly, quietly, like a bridge that looks strong until one small support fails. The first to fall was not a military empire. It was not a trade union. It was a care system. On a distant planet called Kareth, millions of beings lived in floating cities above a toxic ocean. The cities were kept alive by human-built systems, clean air generators, medical stations, water filters. Humans had not built them to control Kareth. They had built them because Kareth was dying. And humans did not like watching anyone die. For years, human engineers maintained those systems quietly. They trained locals. They shared knowledge. They fixed problems before anyone noticed. Then they left. Not angrily. Not loudly. Just left. At first, nothing happened. The air was clean. The water was pure. The lights stayed on. The leaders of Kareth felt proud. "See," they said, "we do not need humans." But they were wrong. 3 weeks later, a small filter failed. Not a big one. Not a dangerous one. Just a small one. But that filter supported another system. And that system supported another. And slowly the chain began to break. Doctors noticed patients having trouble breathing. Engineers noticed power drops. Families noticed water tasting strange. They called their leaders. The leaders called their engineers. The engineers called their systems. The systems failed. No one called the humans, because they were not allowed. The council restrictions still stood, and humans followed them. On Kareth, panic spread. Hospitals filled. Children cried. The galaxy did not break all at once. It broke slowly, quietly, like a bridge that looks strong until one small support fails. The first to fall was not a military empire. It was not a trade union. It was a care system. On a distant planet called Kareth, millions of beings lived in floating cities above a toxic ocean. The cities were kept alive by human-built systems, clean air generators, medical stations, water filters. Humans had not built them to control Kareth. They had built them because Kareth was dying. And humans did not like watching anyone die. For years, human engineers maintained those systems quietly. They trained locals. They shared knowledge. They fixed problems before anyone noticed. Then they left. Not angrily. Not loudly. Just left. At first, nothing happened. The air was clean. The water was pure. The lights stayed on. The leaders of Kareth felt proud. See, they said. We do not need humans. But they were wrong. 3 weeks later, a small filter failed. Not a big one. Not a dangerous one. Just a small one. But that filter supported another system. And that system supported another. And slowly, the chain began to break. Doctors noticed patients having trouble breathing. Engineers noticed power drops. Families noticed water tasting strange. They called their leaders. The leaders called their engineers. The engineers called their systems. The systems failed. No one called the humans, because they were not allowed. The council restrictions still stood, and humans followed them. On Kareth, panic spread. Hospitals filled. Children cried. Elders struggled to breathe. A young Carethian doctor named Sela stood in a crowded hospital room, staring at a failing life support unit. Why is this happening? She asked. A senior doctor replied, the human systems are failing. Then fix them, Sela said. We can't, the doctor replied. We were trained to operate them, not rebuild them. Sela's eyes widened. Then call the humans. The doctor looked away. We are not allowed. Sela clenched her fists. So people die because of rules? The doctor did not answer. On Council Station 9, reports from Kareth arrived. Air quality is dropping, an aide said. Water contamination rising. Medical systems failing. The trade leader waved his hand. They should fix it themselves. They can't, the aide replied. The systems are too advanced. The reptilian leader growled. Then let them suffer. They chose this. The high speaker felt something heavy in his chest. This is not what we wanted, he said quietly. The insect-like leader whispered. But it is what we created. The cloud-like leader floated closer. We must act. How? The trade leader asked. Humans are not returning. The high speaker did not answer. Because he knew. Humans would return only when the system changed. Not when people begged. Not when systems failed. Only when responsibility was shared. Back on Earth, Elena Cross watched the Kareth reports in silence. Dr. Hale stood beside her. Air quality dropping faster than predicted. Captain Reed said, medical failures already in progress. Elena closed her eyes. They are dying, Dr. Hale said softly. Yes, Elena replied. They are. Captain Reed asked, do we intervene? Elena did not answer immediately. She stood still. Then she spoke. We intervene where lives are in immediate danger, she said. But we do not rebuild their systems. Dr. Hale frowned. So we save people, but not their world. We save lives, Elena said. But we do not restore dependency. Captain Reed nodded slowly. Emergency extraction only. Elena nodded. Yes. Human rescue ships moved. Not to fix Kareth, but to take the sick, the young, the old, anyone who could not survive the system failure. On Kareth, Sela watched human ships arrive. Hope rose in her chest. They came, someone whispered. But that hope faded quickly. Humans did not repair the air systems. They did not restore the water filters. They only evacuated. Sela confronted a human medic. Why are you not fixing the systems? She asked. The medic looked at her gently. Because that is not our role anymore. But people will die, Sela said. Yes, the medic replied. And we are trying to save as many as we can. But you could stop all of it, Sela said. You have the tools. The medic nodded. We do. Then why won't you? Sela demanded. The medic paused. Because, she said, if we fix it, nothing changes. Sela felt anger rise. So, you let people suffer to teach us a lesson? The medic shook her head. No. We are letting your leaders feel the weight of their choices. Sela looked away. She did not know what to say. On Council Station 9, the situation worsened. Kareth is requesting full system restoration, an aide said. The High Speaker closed his eyes. What are the humans doing? The trade leader asked. They are evacuating only, the aide replied. The reptilian leader laughed. So even they admit this world is lost? No, the High Speaker said. They admit it must change. The insect-like leader whispered. This is cruel. The High Speaker replied. No, this is consequence. But innocent people are dying, the insect-like leader said. Yes, the High Speaker said. And they were dying before too. Just more slowly. Silence. The High Speaker continued. We allowed systems to exist where one species carried the burden while others took the benefit. That is efficiency, the trade leader said. That is exploitation, the High Speaker replied. The trade leader did not respond. The High Speaker stood up. This cannot continue, he said. We must change the rules. The reptilian leader snarled. You would bend to human pressure? The High Speaker looked at him calmly. I would bend to reality. He turned to the council. Call for a full vote. A vote on what? The cloud-like leader asked. On restructuring galactic responsibility, the High Speaker replied. Gasps filled the room. That is impossible, the trade leader said. It is necessary, the High Speaker replied. Meanwhile, on Kareth, the evacuation continued. Sela helped move patients onto human ships. She watched families separate. Some stayed. Some left. Some cried. Some begged. A Carithian elder grabbed Sela's arm. Why are the humans leaving us to die? Sela did not know what to say. She looked at the human medic. The medic spoke softly. We are not leaving you to die. We are leaving you to decide. Decide what? The elder asked. Whether your leaders will change, the medic replied. Sela felt something break inside her. She looked up at the sky. Human ships moved silently, like shadows. She realized something terrifying. Humans were not abandoning Kareth. They were abandoning the system that made Kareth dependent. And that was worse. Because now, Kareth had to face itself. Back on Earth, Elena Cross stood in front of a room full of human leaders. They were not politicians. They were not generals. They were doctors, engineers, teachers, relief workers. People who had built the quiet support system of the galaxy. We are losing lives, one doctor said. We could stop it. Yes, Elena said. And we are stopping what we can. But not enough, another said. Elena nodded. No, not enough. An engineer stood up. Why must innocent people pay the price for political systems? Elena looked at him. Because they already were, she said. We were just hiding it. Silence. Elena continued. We were absorbing pain so others would not feel it. That did not remove the pain. It only delayed it. The room grew quiet. Now, Elena said, the pain is visible. And only visible pain creates change. Some looked angry. Some looked sad. Some looked uncertain. But none argued. On Council Station 9, the vote began. Lights appeared again. Blue, green, red. This time, fewer lights appeared. Fewer leaders voted. Some hesitated. Some refused. But some changed. The High Speaker watched the lights carefully. When the vote ended, he spoke. The motion to restructure galactic responsibility has passed. Silence. Shock. Anger. Fear. The reptilian leader shouted. This is madness. The trade leader whispered. This is the end of control. The High Speaker replied. No. This is the beginning of accountability. He turned to the aides. Send the decision to the humans. The message traveled across space. Back on Earth, Elena received it. She read it slowly. Then she looked at Dr. Hale and Captain Reed.
They voted, she said.
Did it pass?
Dr. Hale asked.
Yes, Elena replied. Captain Reed raised an eyebrow. Fully. Elena nodded. Fully. Silence. Then Dr. Hale smiled faintly. Then we return, he said. Elena shook her head. Not yet, she said. Captain Reed frowned. Why not? Because, Elena said, passing a rule is not the same as following it. Dr. Hale nodded slowly. Trust is not rebuilt with words. Elena looked at the stars. Kareth is still collapsing, she said. Other worlds will follow. Captain Reed said, So what do we do? Elena answered quietly. We wait. For what? Dr. Hale asked. For the first world. Elena said, to rebuild itself. Silence. On Kareth, the final air system failed. Floating cities lost stability. Emergency systems kicked in. Thousands were evacuated. Thousands were not. Sela stood on a broken platform, watching her city sink into the toxic clouds below. Tears filled her eyes. She felt anger. She felt grief. She felt betrayal. But she also felt something else. Responsibility. She turned to her fellow doctors. We cannot wait for humans, she said. We must rebuild ourselves. But we don't know how, one replied. Then we learn, Sela said. But it will take years, another said. Yes, Sela replied. And that is the price of independence. On Council Station 9, reports came in. Kareth leaders have begun restructuring their systems, an aide said. They are requesting technical guidance, another said. From whom? The High Speaker asked. From humans, the aide replied. The High Speaker smiled faintly. Good, he said. But they must not fix it for them. Then what should humans do? The insect-like leader asked. The High Speaker replied. They should teach. Back on Earth, Elena received the request. They want guidance, Dr. Hale said. Elena nodded.
Give it, she said.
Full access. Captain Reed asked. No, Elena replied. Shared access. Dr. Hale smiled. No more silent support. No more hidden help, Elena said. Only partnership. The first collapse had happened. Not of an empire. Not of a fleet. But of a system built on dependence. And from that collapse, something new began to rise. Not fear. Not control. But responsibility. And across the galaxy, leaders finally understood. Humans were not dangerous because they fought. Humans were dangerous because they stopped carrying the weight of everyone else. The galaxy had learned one hard lesson. Dependence was invisible. Until it was gone. Kareth was not the last. It was only the first. Far beyond Kareth, in the heart of galactic power, stood the Xiron Dominion, the largest military empire in known space. Their fleets were massive. Their weapons were advanced. Their reputation was feared. They had never lost a war. Not because they were just strong, but because they were never alone. Humans had helped them quietly for years. Not with weapons, but with medicine, with logistics, with infrastructure, with civilian protection. The Xiron Dominion did not notice. Because humans never asked for credit. They simply helped. And now, they had stopped. At first, the Xiron Dominion did not care. They had fleets. They had soldiers. They had power. What they did not realize was that power runs on support. On the border world of Tarnex, a Xiron military hospital was overflowing. Wounded soldiers lay in rows. Doctors rushed from bed to bed. Machines beeped. Air was heavy. General Vorik, a tall armored being with burning yellow eyes, stood at the center of the hospital. Why are our recovery times increasing? He demanded. A medical officer bowed. Our supply chains have been disrupted. By whom? Vorik asked. The officer hesitated. By the humans. Vorik growled. What have they done? They have withdrawn medical logistics support, the officer said. What does that mean? Vorik demanded.
It means, the officer replied, our systems are failing without replacement parts and software updates. Vorik slammed his fist on a metal wall. Fix it. We cannot, the officer said. The systems are human-built. Vorik stared at him. Then build new ones. The officer swallowed. That will take years. Vorik felt anger rise. We do not have years, he said, because at that very moment, the Xiron Dominion was fighting a three-front war. Not against weak enemies. Against desperate ones. Enemies who now realized the Xiron Empire was no longer supported. On Council Station 9, the High Speaker received new reports. The Xiron Dominion is experiencing system failures, an aide said. Medical shortages. Logistics breakdowns. Civil unrest. The reptilian leader smiled. Good. The High Speaker did not. This is dangerous, he said. Why? The reptilian leader asked. They are our rivals. Because, the High Speaker said, an unstable empire is more dangerous than a strong one. The insect-like leader whispered, they will lash out. Yes, the High Speaker replied. And they will blame humans. Back in Xiron space, General Vorik stood before a massive holographic map. Red zones appeared across his empire. Medical failures. Supply disruptions. Civil protests. Border collapses. This is sabotage, Vorik said. An advisor replied carefully, no, General. This is absence. Vorik growled. Same thing. No, the advisor said. Sabotage destroys. Absence reveals. Vorik did not like that answer. Send a message to the humans, Vorik ordered. What kind of message? The advisor asked. A demand, Vorik replied. The message was sent. On Earth, Elena Cross received it. She read it calmly. Captain Reed read over her shoulder. They're demanding immediate restoration of support, Reed said. Elena nodded. I expected that. Dr. Hale looked concerned. What do we say? Elena thought for a moment. Tell them, she said, we are willing to help, under the new rules. Captain Reed raised an eyebrow. They won't like that. Elena replied, they don't have to like it. They just have to accept it. The message was sent. Back in Xiron space, General Vorik read it. His eyes burned. They dare place conditions on us? He roared. An advisor spoke carefully. General, we need them. Vorik clenched his fists. No empire needs anyone, he said. But even as he said it, his empire was falling. On the planet Krexen, a Xiron-controlled world, civilians protested. Food supplies had dropped. Medical care had worsened. Energy systems were unstable. A Xiron civilian named Lyra stood in a crowded street. She had lost her father 2 days ago. Not to war. To lack of medicine, she shouted. Why are we dying while the generals fight? A soldier shouted back. This is not the time. Lyra replied. Then when is? The crowd grew louder. This is your fault. You let the humans leave. You told them to stop interfering. The soldiers looked uncertain. They had never faced their own people before. On Council Station 9, the High Speaker watched these events unfold. This is the second collapse, he said. But this one is louder. The reptilian leader smiled. Good. Let them break. The High Speaker shook his head. No. Let them learn. Back on Earth, Elena Cross stood before a room of human leaders again. The Xiron Dominion is failing, Dr. Hale said. They are blaming us, Captain Reed added. Elena nodded. They always blame what they cannot control. Will we help them? A doctor asked. Yes, Elena said. Even after how they treated us? Another asked. Yes, Elena said. Why? Someone asked. Elena looked around the room. Because, she said, we do not help people because they deserve it. We help people because they need it. Silence. But, she continued, we will not return to the old way. The room nodded. We help, Elena said, only if they agree to change. On Xiron Prime, General Vorik watched reports of unrest. Civilians protested. Soldiers deserted. Supply ships failed. He finally realized something terrifying. His empire was strong, but not self-sufficient.
He called his advisors. Prepare a response to the humans, he said. What kind? An advisor asked. Vorik hesitated. Then he said, a request. The word tasted bitter, but he said it anyway. The message was sent. On Earth, Elena received it. She read it quietly. They're asking for help, Captain Reed said. Yes, Elena replied. Dr. Hale asked, on what terms? Elena smiled faintly. On ours, she said. The humans replied. They offered medical support, logistics training, infrastructure guidance, but only under one condition. Shared responsibility. Zyron leaders must participate. Zyron systems must be transparent. Zyron civilians must be protected first, not last. General Vorik read the terms. He felt anger. He felt pride. He felt fear. But above all, he felt pressure. His empire was cracking. He could not hold it alone. He could not rule alone. He could not survive alone. And for the first time in his life, he had to choose power or people. He chose people. Vorik accepted. The humans returned, but not as silent helpers. They arrived openly, publicly, transparently. Human medical ships docked at Zyron hospitals. Human engineers worked side by side with Zyron technicians. Human advisors trained Zyron leaders, not as servants, not as tools, as partners. On Krexen, Lyra watched human doctors treat civilians. She watched Zyron soldiers protect hospitals. She saw something she had never seen before. Cooperation, not fear, not control, but shared work. Lyra turned to a Zyron officer. Why are the humans helping us? She asked. The officer replied, because we finally asked the right way. On Council Station 9, the High Speaker received new reports. The Zyron Dominion has stabilized, an aide said. Under what conditions? The High Speaker asked. Shared governance. Civilian oversight. Transparent logistics, the aide replied. The reptilian leader scoffed. Weakness. The High Speaker shook his head. Strength. This will spread, the insect-like leader said. Yes, the High Speaker replied. And it must. Back on Earth, Elena cross-watched the galaxy map. Green zones appeared again. Not because humans fixed everything, but because others were fixing things with humans. Dr. Hale smiled. It's working. Captain Reed nodded. Slowly. Painfully. But working. Elena looked tired. But she also looked hopeful. This is not victory, she said. This is beginning. Dr. Hale asked, what about the other empires? Elena replied, they are watching. And learning, Captain Reed added. Yes, Elena said. Or resisting. Which will fail, Dr. Hale said. Elena nodded. Because now, the galaxy had seen something new. Not human power. Not human weapons. But human refusal to carry the universe alone. And that was more dangerous than any army. On Zyron Prime, General Vorik stood before his people. For too long, he said, we believed strength meant standing alone. But we were wrong. Strength, he said, means standing together. The crowd listened. Some were angry. Some were afraid. Some were hopeful. But all were listening. And across the galaxy, leaders who once mocked humans now faced a terrifying truth. Humans did not conquer empires. They changed them, not with fire, not with blood, but with boundaries. And that was far harder to fight. The galaxy was changing, not loudly, not violently, but deeply. Systems once built on control were now built on cooperation. Empires once ruled by fear were now ruled by shared rules. Humans had not conquered anything. They had not destroyed anything. They had simply refused to carry the weight of the universe alone. And that changed everything. But not everyone accepted this change. Some leaders did not fear human power. They feared human influence. Because influence could not be fought with weapons. It could only be fought with lies. On Council Station 9, the High Speaker watched the galaxy map. Green zones had spread, not because humans fixed them, but because worlds were fixing themselves with human guidance. This will not last, the reptilian leader said coldly. The High Speaker turned. Why not? Because someone will break it, the reptilian leader replied. The High Speaker studied him. You sound confident. The reptilian leader smiled slightly. I am. Far away, in a hidden system, a secret meeting was taking place, and council members. No official records. Only shadows. Representatives from 5 powerful empires gathered around a dark holographic table. They were not friends. They were rivals. But they shared one fear. Humans. Not their weapons. Not their fleets. But their ideas. These changes are weakening us, said a tall insect-like leader. No, replied a crystalline being. They are weakening our control. Same thing, the insect-like leader said. A shadowed figure spoke. Humans are turning our people against us. By helping them? Another asked. Yes, the shadowed figure replied. That is the most dangerous kind of rebellion. So, what do we do? Asked a metallic leader. The shadowed figure answered simply. We turn the galaxy against humans. How? Asked the crystalline being. With truth, someone mocked. No, the shadowed figure replied. With story. They began to plan. Not war. Not invasion. But narrative. On a small neutral world, a news station broadcast a shocking report. Breaking news, the anchor said. Human medical ships have been accused of spreading a bioagent on the planet Veshra. The image showed a hospital in chaos. Patients screamed, doctors ran. A blurred video showed human medics leaving a room where patients later died. The report continued. Local authorities claim the humans introduced a treatment that caused mass failure of internal systems. Across the galaxy, screens lit up. Another station reported, human engineers accused of sabotaging power systems on the world of Tynex. Another said, human peacekeepers allegedly allowed a massacre to happen on purpose. The galaxy watched. Fear spread. Confusion grew. Anger rose. On Council Station 9, leaders reacted instantly. What is this? The trade leader demanded. Are these reports true? The insect-like leader asked. The High Speaker raised his staff. Investigate immediately. But before investigations could finish, the damage was done. On multiple worlds, civilians protested. Humans out. Humans cannot be trusted. They pretend to help. On Crexon, Lyra watched crowds gather. She had seen humans save lives. She had seen Zyron soldiers work beside them. But now people shouted. Look at the news, someone yelled. They poison us. Lyra felt confusion. That's not true, she said. I saw them help. Then why are people dying? Another shouted. Lyra did not know what to say. Back on Earth, Elena cross-watched the broadcasts. Her face remained calm, but her eyes darkened. This is coordinated, Captain Reed said. Dr. Hale nodded. The stories are false. The data doesn't match. Elena looked at the screen. Someone is trying to destroy trust. And they're succeeding, Captain Reed said. Elena took a deep breath. Then we must not react emotionally, she said. What do we do? Dr. Hale asked. We stay transparent, Elena replied. We open everything. Captain Reed frowned. Everything. Yes, Elena said. Every log. Every record. Every operation. That's risky, Reed said. Trust is always risky, Elena replied. On Council Station 9, pressure grew. The reptilian leader stood. Humans cannot be trusted. We should suspend their access immediately. The trade leader nodded. Yes. Remove them from all systems. The insect-like leader hesitated. But they have helped. Help does not excuse harm, the reptilian leader interrupted. The High Speaker raised his staff. We will not make decisions based on rumors. These are not rumors, the reptilian leader shouted. People are dying. The High Speaker replied calmly. People are always dying. The question is why. He turned to the aides. Accelerate investigations. But investigations took time. Stories spread faster. On Veshra, human medical teams were attacked. Not with weapons. with stones, with fear. Leave, people shouted. You killed them. Human medics did not fight back. They did not shout. They did not run. They simply left. On Tynex, human engineers were forced off-world. On a border station, human peacekeepers were blamed for a massacre they had tried to stop. The galaxy turned cold, not toward human power, toward human presence. On Earth, Elena Cross stood before a room of human leaders. This is a betrayal, Captain Reed said. Yes, Elena replied. Who is behind it? Dr. Hale asked. We don't know yet, Elena said. But we will. Should we withdraw? Someone asked. Elena shook her head. No. If we leave now, she said, we confirm their story. Then what do we do? Another asked. Elena answered quietly. We stay. And if they attack us? Captain Reed asked. Elena replied. Then we endure. Silence. Endure. That was the word. Not fight. Not threaten. Not punish. Endure. On Council Station 9, the High Speaker finally received partial investigation results. High Speaker, an aide said, the data on Veshra was altered. By whom? The High Speaker asked. We don't know, the aide replied. But it was not human. The reptilian leader crossed his arms. That proves nothing. The High Speaker replied, it proves doubt. The insect-like leader whispered, then why are people dying? The High Speaker looked tired. Because systems are fragile, and trust is more fragile. Meanwhile, in a hidden system, the shadowed leaders watched their plan succeed. The humans are losing influence, the insect-like conspirator said. Good, the crystalline being replied. The council is divided, said the metallic leader. Better, the shadowed figure said. They will retreat, someone said. No, the shadowed figure replied. They will stay. Why are you so sure? The crystalline being asked. Because, the shadowed figure said, humans do not run when they are annoyed. On Earth, Elena Cross received a message from Kareth. Sela the doctor had sent it. She wrote, people here are hearing lies. Some believe them, but many remember the truth. We are rebuilding, and we will not forget who helped us learn how. Elena read the message slowly. Then she smiled faintly. On Xiron Prime, General Vorik stood before his people. We have heard the stories, he said. We have seen the reports. He paused. I stand here today to say they are false. Gasps filled the hall. Humans did not poison us, Vorik continued. They did not sabotage us. They did not betray us. They saved us. The crowd was silent. They could have let us fall, Vorik said. Instead, they taught us how to stand. Across other worlds, similar voices rose. Leaders who had worked with humans spoke. Doctors spoke. Engineers spoke. Civilians spoke. Not in anger, in truth. On Council Station 9, the High Speaker addressed the council. The investigations are clear, he said. The reports were manipulated. The data was altered. The stories were false. The reptilian leader remained silent. The High Speaker continued. Someone tried to break trust. Who? The insect-like leader asked. We do not know yet, the High Speaker said. But we know this. He looked at the closed doors. Humans did not leave. Humans did not attack. Humans did not respond with anger. They stayed. And because they stayed, the truth survived. The reptilian leader finally spoke. This is not over. The High Speaker nodded. No. But it is changing. Back on Earth, Elena Cross received a message from the council. They asked for a meeting. She read it quietly. Captain Reed asked, Are we going? Yes, Elena replied. Why? Dr. Hale asked. Because, Elena said, they are finally ready to talk honestly. But what about the betrayal? Captain Reed asked. Elena looked at him. Her voice was calm. Betrayal only works, she said, when it is answered with fear. We answer it with truth. And endurance. On Council Station 9, the humans returned again. This time, the room felt different. Less hostile, less proud, more uncertain. The High Speaker stood. Humans, we owe you an apology. Elena nodded. We accept. The reptilian leader looked away. The high speaker continued. Someone tried to destroy trust. They failed. Elena replied, trust is not destroyed easily, but it is repaired slowly. The high speaker said, we believe someone within the council was involved. Silence. The reptilian leader's eyes narrowed. Elena did not react. We are investigating, the high speaker continued. Elena nodded. Good. The insect-like leader asked, why did you stay? Elena answered simply, because leaving would have proven them right. And because, she added, this galaxy is worth enduring for. Silence. The meeting ended without anger, without threats, without lies. But something new had appeared. Not peace, not war, but accountability. Far away, the shadowed leaders realized their plan was failing. They did not break, the crystalline being said. They did not retreat, said the insect-like conspirator. They did not fight, the metallic leader said. The shadowed figure clenched its fists. Then we changed the plan, it said. How? Asked the crystalline being. The shadowed figure replied slowly. We make them choose between saving lives and saving the galaxy. The galaxy stood on the edge of something dangerous. Not war, not peace, but a choice. A hidden force was moving. Not openly, not loudly, but carefully. They had failed to destroy trust. So now, they aimed to destroy hope. In a distant system called Varix, something began to happen. A star started to collapse. Not naturally, not slowly, but violently. Sensors across the galaxy lit up. This is impossible, scientists said. Stars don't collapse this fast. But it was happening. The star at Varix was unstable. Its energy spiked. Its gravity twisted. And at its center, a weapon had been placed. Not to destroy one world, but to destroy an entire system. Millions of lives. Dozens of inhabited planets. All at risk. On Council Station 9, alarms rang. The Varix system is collapsing, an aide shouted. Estimated destruction. 12 hours. The room froze. The high speaker stood. Is it natural? No, the aide replied. This is artificial. Who did it? Someone demanded. We don't know yet, the aide said. But we know this. If the star collapses, the explosion will destroy everything within 10 light years. Gasps filled the room. That's genocide, the insect-like leader whispered. No, the reptilian leader replied. That's war. On Earth, Elena Cross received the report. She stood quietly. Captain Reed said, this is the next move. Dr. Hale nodded. They want to force us into a corner. Elena said nothing. Then she spoke. They want us to choose. Choose what? Captain Reed asked. Between saving Varix, Elena said, and protecting the rest of the galaxy. Dr. Hale frowned. Explain. Elena pulled up the data. To stop the collapse, she said, we must use the stabilization array. That device can hold the star together, Dr. Hale said. Yes, Elena replied, but only if it's powered by the galaxy's central energy network. Captain Reed's eyes widened, which would shut down defenses everywhere. Exactly, Elena said. For several hours, the galaxy would be blind. No shields, no defenses, no early warning. Dr. Hale whispered, that's suicide. Elena replied quietly, that's trust. On Council Station 9, panic spread. Activate planetary shields, someone shouted. Mobilize fleets, another yelled. The reptilian leader stood. This is a trap. Humans will use this moment to take control. The high speaker raised his staff. Enough. He turned to the scientists. What are our options? A scientist replied, we can evacuate nearby systems, but millions will still die. Another said, we can attempt to destroy the star weapon, but it is shielded beyond our technology. The high speaker looked around. Any other option? Silence. Then an aide spoke. The humans have a device, the aide said. The stabilization array. The room went quiet. The insect-like leader whispered, that device would save Varix. Yes, the aide replied, but it would leave the rest of the galaxy unprotected. The reptilian leader laughed. Of course, they designed it that way. Or, the high speaker replied, they designed it with a price. All eyes turned to Elena Cross, who now stood in the chamber. We did not design it to control, Elena said calmly. We designed it to choose. The reptilian leader sneered. Choose who lives and who dies. Elena replied, no. Choose whether we live together or alone. The room was silent. A council member asked, will you activate it? Elena did not answer immediately. She looked at the star map, at Varix, at the worlds, at the millions of lives. Then she looked at the galaxy, at the defenses, at the fragile peace. Then she spoke. Yes. Gasps filled the chamber. Captain Reed stepped forward. Elena. I know, she said quietly. This risks everything. Dr. Hale said, if someone attacks while defenses are down. I know, Elena said. The high speaker studied her. Why would you take that risk? He asked. Elena answered simply, because if we only protect ourselves, we become the enemy we fear. The insect-like leader whispered, this is madness. The reptilian leader smiled coldly. This is weakness. Elena turned to him. No, she said. This is responsibility. The high speaker raised his staff. Council vote, he said. Do we authorize the stabilization array? One by one leaders spoke. Yes. No. Yes. No. Yes. The vote was close. But it passed. Authorization granted. The galaxy held its breath. On Earth, human engineers activated the array. Massive energy currents flowed. Across space, the galaxy's central network dimmed. Shields went offline. Defense grids shut down. Early warning systems went silent. For the first time in recorded history, the galaxy was defenseless. At Varix, the stars' collapse slowed. Its violent energy stabilized. The weapon inside began to fail. Planets were saved. Millions of lives spared. Cheers broke out on Varix worlds. But across the galaxy, darkness spread. On the hidden system, the shadowed leaders watched. The galaxy is blind, the crystalline being said. Now, the shadowed figure replied, we strike. Their fleets moved, not toward Varix, toward the core worlds, toward Earth, toward Council Station 9, toward the heart of everything. On Council Station 9, alarms rang again. Enemy fleets detected. An aide shouted. Where? The high speaker demanded. Everywhere, the aide replied. But our systems are down, the high speaker finished. The reptilian leader laughed. I told you. Elena stood still. She did not panic. She did not shout. She did not regret. Captain Reed said, we're exposed. Dr. Hale whispered, they'll destroy us. Elena replied calmly, no, they won't. The high speaker asked, why are you so sure? Elena turned. Because, she said, we are not alone. On Varix, human engineers shut down the array. Energy began to return. Slowly, but not fast enough. The enemy fleets were closer, closer, closer. On Xiron Prime, General Vorak received the alert. Our shields are down, an officer said. Enemy fleets inbound. Vorak's eyes narrowed. Do we have weapons? He asked. Yes, the officer replied. Then we fight, Vorak said. But, the officer hesitated, without human systems. Vorak interrupted, we don't fight because humans built our systems. We fight because they taught us how. Across the galaxy, leaders made similar choices. Not to hide, not to flee, but to stand. Together. On Kareth, Dr. Sela organized civilian shelters. But she also activated emergency medical teams. We help anyone injured, she said. Human or not. On Krexen, Lyra stood with a group of volunteers. We don't run, she said. We stand. On Council Station 9, the high speaker addressed all systems. This is not a human war, he said. This is not a council war. This is a galaxy war. And today, he said, we stand together. The enemy fleets arrived. They expected chaos. They expected fear. They expected a defenseless galaxy. They found resistance. Not from shields. Not from weapons. From coordination. From trust. From unity. Zyron fleets defended council worlds. Trade guild ships escorted civilian transports. Medical fleets moved into war zones. Not to fight. To save. Human ships did not lead. They followed. They supported. They connected. The shadowed leaders were confused. They're resisting, the crystalline being said. But how? Asked the insect-like conspirator. They're unarmed, the metallic leader said. They're unshielded. The shadowed figure watched the battlefield. They are armed with something else, it said. What? The crystalline being asked. The shadowed figure answered. Each other. The enemy fleets advanced. But they did not find isolated systems. They found networks. They found coordination. They found sacrifice. A Zyron cruiser took a hit meant for a human medical ship. A trade fleet shielded a council station. A civilian transport turned back to rescue a stranded crew. Losses happened. Lives were lost. But the galaxy did not break. And then, the energy grid came back online. Shields returned. Defenses activated. Early warning systems lit up. The galaxy breathed again. The enemy fleets, now exposed, faced a united defense. They retreated, not because they were defeated, but because their plan had failed. They had wanted the galaxy to turn on humans. Instead, the galaxy had turned toward each other. On Council Station 9, silence filled the chamber. Not fear, not anger, reflection. The High Speaker spoke. Humans, he said, you took the greatest risk possible. Elena replied, we did not take it alone. The reptilian leader looked shaken. You exposed us, he said. Elena replied, we trusted you. The insect-like leader asked, why? Elena answered simply, because trust cannot be taught. It must be lived. Silence. Then the High Speaker said, you saved Varix. Yes, Elena said. And you risked the galaxy, he continued. Yes, Elena replied. Why, he asked. Elena looked at the room. At the leaders. At the galaxy map. Then she said the words that would echo across history. We did not save the galaxy by protecting it. We saved the galaxy by trusting it. No one spoke. Because no one needed to. The shadowed leaders vanished. Their identities were never fully revealed. But their influence ended. Not because they were destroyed, but because their story failed. Across the galaxy, worlds rebuilt. Not just systems. Not just infrastructure. But relationships. Human presence changed. They were no longer silent helpers. They were no longer hidden supporters. They were not rulers. They were partners. And when humans said, now I'm actually getting annoyed, the galaxy finally understood. It did not mean anger. It meant boundary. It meant responsibility. It meant, we will not carry you, but we will stand with you. And that was more powerful than any weapon,